Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here with Game 2 of Shadow's YouTuber tournament, or at least the second game that I played in. This is going to be myself bringing the Empire up against Deacon Total War's Dwarfs. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army compositions. My army is going to be led by old Balthazar himself. We are indeed going with a Balthazar double Witch Hunter build. It's been quite a while since I've taken one, so I figured, hey, let's have some fun and bring out the old accusation spam. So we've got the Final Transmutation here, as well as the Staff of Volans and Arcane Conduit with the double Witch Hunter, Hellblaster Volley Gun, 3 units of Great Swords, 4 Outriders, who you can see are moving up the flanks to start some harass. And we've also got 2 units of Reichsguard, 1 unit of Zintlers, of course. And that's pretty much it for my army. Relatively straightforward. Let's go ahead and take a look at Deacon's dwarf list. He's got a Rune Lord here, so definitely a very good pick in this matchup, especially with that Locus of Power. It's going to give that map-wide 15% magic resistance, which means that Final Transmutation and Accusation are going to be significantly less expensive, less effective rather, against all the units map-wide. You can see up to 40% magic resistance for all the units here, and the Rune Lord himself up to 55 with 25% physical and 15% missile, so just lots of resistances all around there. He's also got 4 units of Bugman's Rangers. We've got a mix of Longbeards with great weapons and regular sword and board Longbeards, I guess axe and board more appropriately. 1 unit of Slayers in the rear, and I think that's pretty much it. Looks like another unit of Slayers mixed in here, Grumbling Guard as well. So let's go ahead and without further ado kick the battle into full gear. We'll watch as things start to unfold here. We're going to start skirmishing. Since my opponent is content to just sit here for the moment, we're going to get the Hellblaster Volley Gun up in range and start loosing off some shots here. Very, very cool animation, man. I love that rotating barrel animation. Super cool, and it is doing some solid damage up against those Longbeards already. So, yeah. We're also going to be moving up these Outriders just to start to clip the wings and, keep my opponent occupied here so that he doesn't start to get the idea of moving forward, because he definitely wants to try and push forward and take out my artillery, because the Hellblaster Volley Gun, if given enough time, can definitely do a lot of damage to dwarf units. But yeah, you can see we're constantly pulling in and out of range of the Bugman's Rangers, trying to get volleys on these Longbeards with great weapons anytime we can. But the main damage is going to be done by the Hellblaster Volley Gun here. You can see it's clipping the edge of this unit, and then the overshots are actually clipping the edge of the unit right behind them. So a very fortunate situation for me. We'll grab cinematic action as these little cannonballs come flying in here. The multi-shot doing some really nice damage, and you'd best believe there's going to be some grudges for that that particular situation there, using gunpowder against the dwarfs. But anyway, yeah, you can see Deacon just using these Bugman's Rangers to try and screen out the Outriders, which is what he should be doing. He doesn't want to just sit there and let my Outriders shoot at his Longbeards, but likewise, he also doesn't want to just sit there and let my Hellblaster Volley Gun shoot in, and right now that's exactly what he's doing. These Longbeards, I mean, they're holding their shields up, but because this is an artillery piece, their missile block chance doesn't really apply here. And yeah, they'll take a lot of damage, as you can see. We have taken a little bit of damage in return on our Outriders, but honestly, so far it's pretty even, all things considered. We are getting some nice damage in, but the balance power is not swinging too wildly. If anything, it actually started in my opponent's favor ever so slightly. So yeah, you can see this unit of Longbeards, though, down to only 44 unit models, so they've taken about 30 casualties. The Hellblaster Volley Gun's up to 57 kills in total between these 2 units that it's been shooting at there, so very good stuff so far. Some nice value generated there. And yeah, we're going to continue to fire in a little bit there, and then eventually switch the targeting over to one of these Longbeards with great weapons, because they're obviously a much bigger risk to my great swords here. Great swords, they're not the best great weapon unit, but they're decent. They do have a bonus versus infantry, reasonable combat stats overall with a few chevrons that I've given them here. And yeah, they should be pretty decent in this matchup overall. You'll just want to watch out for units like Longbeards with great weapons will trade very cost effectively with great swords, and obviously higher tier dwarf infantry like hammers will just cut them to shreds. So, you know, something to watch out for there, but you can see here we are actually firing in from the flank with these Outriders, and then also firing in with the Hellblaster volley gun as well. And now Deacon's finally going to decide to start pushing his dwarfs forward and, yeah, start to bring the fight to me a little bit. But yeah, you can see this unit of Longbeard's Great Weapons. They're up to rank 4 as well with the 1 silver chevron. So a very expensive unit and taking a lot of damage at range here, basically for free. So I mean, obviously I do have to spend the value of the ammunition, but at the end of the day we've got plenty of ammunition, and you know, these Longbeard's Great Weapons have taken a ton of damage. So really nicely done for the Hellblaster volley gun, up to 87 kills and just about to rack up an XP chevron. So for an artillery piece that's relatively expensive, it's been some great value so far. These Outriders also just scooting and shooting, so to speak, using those nice repeater rifles. Super cool looking. But yeah, all across the line, Dwarf's going to be moving up, so we're going to get a little bit of a charge here with these Reichsguard. This very tattered, unbraced unit of Longbeards here is going to take the brunt of that, so we'll go ahead and watch this in cinematic as the Zindler's Reichsguard go ahead and charge through. Reichsguard have solid AP values. You don't want to stay in sustained combat against Longbeards, especially with these Slayers coming in, and the Grumbling Guard as well, obviously, are going to be very dangerous with their charge defense against large and armor piercing. So we're going to pull back with this unit of Longbeards here. But meanwhile, you can see we're immediately collapsing on these Longbeards here, and these Great Swords are definitely going to get the better of this engagement with the support of these Zindler's Reichsguard here. Looking very, very snazzy with their floppy hats. Now the final transmutations coming in, a lot of these tattered units here, and obviously the magic resistance, again, is going to keep them from taking a lot of this damage, but at the end of the day, it is still going to do quite a bit of damage to this area of effect, and particularly with these Grumbling Guard, you can see that Rune Lord's hardly taking any damage at all, but he is still taking some, you know, maybe a 10% or so. Considering how much Winds of Magic we invested, I'm not really sure it's worth it, but at the end of the day, you know, I have it, so I should use it at the very least. It does generate some value. You can see we're going to now bring the Great Swords in as well and just start to try and ping-pong around with the Reichsguard as much as possible. Zindler's Reichsguard actually took a lot of damage there. We're able to shatter a couple of units of Longbeards, though, and the Hellblaster volley gun, importantly, is still online here. You can see the Rune Lord coming over here to try and shut it down, but they do manage to give a few Slayers before that happens, and those Slayers are definitely going to be a big risk to me. Meanwhile, over here we've got some Great Swords fighting these, I believe these are just Dwarf Warriors over here, so no Longbeards here, and the really nice rear fire from these Outriders here. I'm going to route them off and allow these Great Swords to be dispatched to deal with some of these Slayers. They're one of the few units that I have here, obviously, other than shooting the Slayers at a distance. Great Swords will be able to clean them up relatively well in melee. You can see, though, despite the Rune Lord fighting on top of these Hellblaster volley guns, the crews are still on them somehow, and we're actually looking to get some point-blank fire, potentially right into this blob here, but here come the Reichsguard trying to bail out the artillery piece. But it looks like the artillery crew may end up routing regardless. You can see over here we've got the Outriders and this Witch Hunter here just unloading their shots into this pocket of Bugman's Rangers. Despite their missed block chance and their regeneration, they are taking a lot of damage there, but likewise my Outriders are taking way more damage than I'm comfortable with, so we're going to pull away there. Meanwhile, this Witch Hunter just standing in this pocket here, you know, loosening off shots. Looks like he's shooting over at those Longbeards over on the far side there. And these Great Swords been dispatched. We're going to try and pull away from the Longbeards and get into these Grumbling Guard here. Toss an accusation on him, which you can see is doing a little bit of damage. Doesn't do that much, especially with the extra magic resistance from the Rune Lord. But yeah, you can see these Reichsguard going to be collapsing here with the Great Swords, and that's going to interrupt these Grumbling Guard here and then allow the Thane to kind of shoot in from the rear. So you can see he's going to turn and start popping off some shots with his pistol, and ooh, double shot. Some collateral damage right there, actually popping the Dawi's heads off with beard intact. Man, that takes some skill, I'll tell you what. But yeah, you can see the balance power at this point is still very close, all things considered. You know, we've been able to get some very favorable engagements, but at the end of the day, the Great Swords are just having a hard time holding up against this much Dwarf infantry. Obviously, the Longbeards, the Great Weapons, and even regular Longbeards will do pretty well against the Great Swords. There's still a lot of Bugman's Rangers online as well. They're helping to hold this balance power together. But you can see over here the Witch Hunter and the Zindler's Reichsguard getting a nice charge in here. Bugman's Rangers, the one weakness they do have is they have relatively light armor. They do have charge defense against large, so you don't want to just charge them in the face. But a unit like Zintler's Rexguard, if you can get a nice rear charge, and this Witch Hunter, for example, with his non-armor piercing weapon strength, will be able to actually do a little bit of damage here. And it is not going to be too bad for me overall. It's still very, very close, though. You can see the Witch Hunters here. He's popping off shots, but between the missile resistance and the physical resistance of the Rune Lord, he does. He's not going to take too much damage. I mean, it is armor piercing, obviously, but he's got, let's see here, 25% and 15%. So that's a total of 40% mitigation there for that missile fire. But it still, you know, over time, it definitely will do some damage if just left to fire there. You can see Balthazar's in a little bit of a dangerous situation. Those Bugman's Rangers are opening up shots on him. We have been able to catch these Slayers here with great swords, so you can see the Slayers meeting their end at the hand of these floppy hats here. So very fun stuff. And yeah, that Witch Hunter successful in routing off a lot of these Bugman's Rangers as well, and the Dwarf Warriors that are very tattered in this pocket. So he's got his little saber out, and his pistol, he's going to be taking on these Bugman's Rangers. And yeah, finally the balance of power is starting to tilt a little bit in my favor. You can see that the Rune Lord, despite his mitigation, is starting to take some sustained damage over time. And the Witch Hunter, I mean, he does have 34 speed compared to the only 30 of the Rune Lord. You know, these Dawi carrying the big old Rune Lord on his seat definitely is pretty heavy, so they're not going to be able to keep up with the Witch Hunter, and he can just kite away, and because he can shoot in 360, he'll be able to turn around and just continuously shoot at them. So that's a very favorable situation for me. Meanwhile, Balthazar himself, what remains of the Zintler's Reichsguard and some great swords, going to be getting into the last pocket of Bugman's Rangers here, the last true pocket of Dawi resistance. He even got some Outriders firing in from the rear, so just the combined arms of the Empire here are definitely going to take the day. And it is going to be a victory for me over Deacon. So, of course, I'll have links down below to Deacon's channel and Shadow Online Gaming, the organizer of the tournament. A big thanks to him again. I'll have links to both their channels down below. So if you guys want to go see all the games in one place, Shadow Online Gaming is actually going to do like all of the Group B games in one video, all the Group A games in one video for each round. So that way you guys, you know, if you want to go see the other games, you can just go straight to that video. You know, I definitely recommend giving Shadow a subscribe as well. Deacon Total War does a lot of campaign stuff, particularly with like the Lord of the Rings mods and so on. So if that's your thing, definitely give him a subscribe as well. It's been a lot of fun participating. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that battle. In terms of the breakdown here, we'll briefly go over 131 on the Hellblaster at the end of the day. Deacon sitting there and taking that was definitely a very, very rough start for the battle for him. The Great Swords managed to do relatively well across the board as well. 74, 63, and 100 against relatively elite Dawi infantry is always something to get excited about. Balthazar himself, you know, despite the magic resistance, still getting 78 kills, 51 on the Witch Hunter, and 75 on the other. So very good stuff all across the heroic pocket there. Outriders didn't do that much, but you know, in keeping Deacon occupied at the beginning of the battle, they definitely paid for themselves in that respect. For Deacon, I mean, obviously Longbeards in the Great Line aren't going to are in the front line aren't going to do great against great swords. You know, obviously the Slayers did very well, and the Bugman's Rangers, Grumbling Guard did very well. The other two units of Longbeards unfortunately didn't quite pay out. The Rune Lord himself, man, 68 kills, so he definitely did quite a bit of work as well. A very close battle and a fun battle. At the end of the day, the Empire's able to take the victory. So hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you like this kind of content, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.